Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is in Parliament to seek approval to borrow 10 billion cedis from the central bank to help deal with COVID-19 related challenges in the country. The Bank of Ghana Act requires parliamentary approval within 7 parliamentary sitting days, and today is the deadline since government sourced the money from the central bank last week. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins me for an update via Zoom. Thanks so much, Joseph, for your time. We understand that the Finance Minister had laid a document to that effect. What are the details of this request?
So this is a parliamentary memorandum signed by Ken Ofori-Atta himself, and it's under the heading the reports on the limiting of borrowing of Government of Ghana under subsection 6 of section 30 of the Bank of Ghana Act 2002 in the novel coronavirus emergency, and it's dated the 27th of May 2020. And in this document, Mr. Ofori-Atta makes the point that they've gotten various sums of money to help cushion the economy in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic, including an amount of $1 billion that they got from the IMF, that's $1 billion US. They got another amount of $35 million from the World Bank. They got an amount of $219 million from the Stabilization Fund, but then there still exists a gap of 17.9 billion, which they need to source from both domestic and external markets in order to cushion the economy in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic. And they are now borrowing that amount of the 10 billion from the Bank of Ghana, leaving a funding gap of about 7.9 billion that they will look for from other sources. But just to go through the specific details of what they're seeking from the Bank of Ghana, the indication is that this is money they are borrowing. It's something that there is a 2-year moratorium over which they would not be paying the said amount back. And then they would have up to 10 years to pay this particular amount. It's at an interest rate that they describe as floating, so they don't give the specifics. And again, the finance minister indicated that out of the 10 billion amount, 5.5 billion Ghana cedis has already been released to the Ministry of Finance. That's at the 15th of May 2020. So the processes have begun to use this particular amount to help shore up the economy.
Joseph, you spoke about looking for the excess money that is left from somewhere, other sources. Do we know which sources the finance minister or government will be exploring?
So, Sandra, the finance minister listed the possible other sources as far as this particular money is concerned. So, he indicated that the government is committed to, first of all, paying down this debt that they are taking from the Bank of Ghana, and that also as part of efforts to raise the additional sources, they are doing revenue mobilization and enhancements with various measures. He says that there will be an expenditure rationalization and prioritization program also to be rolled out. He says there will be a strategy to broaden the investor base to access cheaper sources of finance. And then he says there will be a policy to revise the primary dealer guidelines and introduce a bond market specialist as a basis for developing the domestic market. A lot of technical terminologies there, but just essentially making the point that they would increase revenue mobilization to help support the economy.
Right. We understand that the minority is not in support of this request by the finance minister. They've cited some illegalities with the process of requesting this money. What are some of the concerns they've been raising? So
one thing that the majority leader, Osechi Mensah Bonsu, told the House earlier today was that per the provisions in the Bank of Ghana Act, this is not something that Parliament is supposed to approve, but that is just information that has been communicated to Parliament. And although it's been referred to the Committee on Finance for the necessary report, he says that the Bank of Ghana Act says Parliament should just be informed and that it wouldn't have to approve this request. The minority, they disagree. They think that Parliament should have to give an approval. They think that the printing of more currency, as Kesela Toforsen describes it, will raise inflation in the country, which is why they are not in support of it. And they think government debt is ballooning and it threatens the future sustainability of the economy. Hence their decision not to support this particular request.
Interesting. But the document has been laid anyways. What are some of the processes that is going to go through before the final approval?
So it's a very simple process. The Finance Committee of Parliament will meet in the days ahead to consider the document, because after it was laid on the floor, the Speaker referred it to the Committee on Finance, and once they are done, they'll put together a report and submit that report to Parliament for the House to debate and then go ahead and give the necessary green light as to whether they are really approving or they are just acknowledging the information that the finance minister has passed on to them.
All right, parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku Gapo there giving us an update. Moving